Norwegian Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, two of the giants in the popular cruising industry, both offer a pretty consistently high quality for the cruising dollars that you spend, but which one is better? I'm currently here on the NCL Bliss, and today on Sofa Time we're going to be talking about the shows, the food, the top deck activities, and I'm going to tell you my opinion about which one I think is better for you. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I've been making travel videos now for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I've also written 2 travel books now, including the brand new Places Please. They're both available on Amazon. All right, if you're new here, I have done many cruises with Royal Caribbean as well as many cruises with NCL. I know there are people who have cruised with many more NCL ships, but that is where I'm pooling my opinions from. And just remember, these are all just my opinions. There's no way to scientifically prove, I don't think, anything on my list. It's purely all my opinion. So if you have a different opinion about these things, let's talk about it. And the first place we're going to go is to the top deck of the ship. One of the things that makes Royal and NCL very similar is their newer, bigger ships all have fun, exciting activities on the top deck. Here on the Norwegian Bliss, they not only have a really crazy, twisty, free fall drop-in slide, they also have a normal style water slide and a really cool go-kart track. I was surprised these go-karts are much faster than I was expecting them to be. And if you look at the newer Royal Caribbean ships like the Utopia that I was just cruising on, they also have water slides and surf simulators and mini golf and other activities. So when you look at the activities offered, they are very similar. However, there's one thing about NCL that kind of annoys me, and that is here on the Bliss, for example, they have this really cool go-kart track, but it costs extra. There is no way to ride it for free. And that's a difference that makes me like Royal Caribbean more. When you look at Royal's Quantum class, they also have amazing attractions like this iFly skydiving simulator that I've talked about so often in so many other videos. It's one of the coolest things I've ever done on a cruise ship, and on certain days at certain times you can do it for free or for included in the price of the cruise. And I feel like here on the Bliss, the signature highlight attraction on the top deck is this go-kart track. And at least on this cruise, you have to pay $15 every time you want to ride it. And I guess I just don't like that. And altogether, I would have to say when you compare the newer NCL ships and the newer Royal Caribbean ships, as far as pool size and pool space goes, Royal wins, I think, on every ship in every aspect of having a lot of place to hang out in the pool, hang out around the pool, and altogether just a lot of pools. Here's another very small point that I know is going to be interesting and important for many of you if you have cruised with Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean now, on almost all of their ships, I think, offers pickleball, and here on the Bliss,
there ain't no pickleball.
The go-kart track takes up so much of the space where the sporting court would be, including their other ships from this design. So there's no, like, sports court on this ship at all, you know, like no place to play basketball or soccer or pickleball. I have missed my morning pickleball competitions, that's for sure. Okay, let's talk about the food. I know the food is very important for many of you. This is perhaps the most subjective of all the things on this list. What I like to eat and what I think tastes good is probably way different than what you like to eat and what you think tastes good, but Marcus and I both agreed that the quality of the food is very equal on both lines, but there is a pretty noticeable difference in the variety, and it's not just in the buffet, but also in the main dining rooms. It seems like Royal has a much larger variety of offerings, like more options on the menus in the MDR, and a wider variety of changing dishes and entrees in the buffet, whereas on this 8-day cruise on the Bliss, we noticed a lot of things repeating. I mean, altogether, on both lines, it's still a ton of options, but since we're being picky, the point here goes to Royal Caribbean for having more. By the way, Both cruise lines offer a complimentary room service menu, but the delivery charge on Royal is $7.95 and on NCL it's $9.95, so Royal wins again. There are some differences in the variety and the style of restaurants and how you visit the restaurants. Here on the Bliss, there is a buffet that is included in the price of the cruise, just like on basically every other cruise line. And then one interesting innovation that I think NCL started is, instead of the main dining room that's just one big space, they have it divided into 3 different restaurants that all serve the same menu, but there is a difference in like the vibe. So 2 of the restaurants are called Taste and Savor. They are across from each other down on the same deck, and they are the more casual version of the main dining room. So if you don't want to get all gussied up, that's an old saying. Have you ever heard anybody refer to getting dressed up as getting gussied up? You have now. But so if you don't like to get really dressed up for dinner and you want to go to the main dining room, then you can go to Savor and Taste. And if you do like to get really dressed up, then you can go to the Manhattan room, which is like the fancier version of the main dining room restaurant. And I think this is a really great solution, because I know from more and more from the comments on my videos and from reading in cruise groups that the issue of what to wear and when to wear it on cruises is important to people. And here on NCL, I think they have a good solution for that. In addition to the buffet and the main dining room on both cruise lines, NCL and Royal, there are other restaurants that are included in the price of the cruise, and then some that are not. And altogether, for the money that you pay for one of the base packages on NCL, I feel like more variety of restaurants are included. Here on the Bliss, everybody can eat at the main dining room, the buffet, the American diner. There's, I wish I could think of what it's called right now, but there's like a pub in the middle of the ship that is also included in the price of the cruise that has pub food and is honestly crowded just about all the time. So I guess it's pretty good. And then they have a list of sort of signature restaurants that are on most of their ships, like La Bistro, Teppanyaki, Los Lobos, an Italian restaurant, a fish restaurant, a steak restaurant. These are extra charge, but in the package that we booked, we get to pick 2 of them to visit during the cruise. So we already went to Teppanyaki, which was a great, fun, but really loud experience. And I know Royal also offers packages that include, like dining at 3 specialty restaurants, or maybe it's like a credit that you can use for the specialty restaurants. I know that's very similar, but here on NCL, it feels like it's just part of the thing and not something you book extra. You know what I mean? So altogether, I guess what I'm trying to say is variety of restaurants, I think on NCL, a little bit more. Okay, we talked about the top deck activities, we talked about the food. Now let's talk about other fun stuff like the shows. Recently on my Facebook page for the Very Unofficial Travel Guides, I posted this meme about skipping the shows. It was seen by a lot of people, so I guess this is an important topic. Either that, or the internet just loves Golden Girls. And the shows in the theater are also a very subjective topic. Some people don't go to the shows at all. Marcus and I, we are theater people, and you will learn much more about this if you check out my newest book, Places Please. But Marcus and I love to go to the shows, and I think the quality of the from NCL and from Royal Caribbean produced shows is pretty similar. The talent of the people that they get on board is extremely high. One difference that I've noticed on the newer NCL ships compared to the newer Royal Caribbean ships is on Royal, they have a lot of focus on using tons of technology in their shows. Honestly, some of their newer shows, like these effector shows, it's more technology than it is like singing and dancing. And one of the main shows that we saw here on board the Bliss is called Icons, which is a review show of songs from people like Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, Stevie Wonder, and this show had a lot more just amazing singing. Tonight we're gonna go see Jersey Boys. You can also see shortened versions of Broadway musicals on Royal Caribbean as well as other cruise lines. And then there are other fun entertainment things you can go see, like comedy, like dueling pianos, like karaoke. And one thing I want to talk about in relation to the shows is I feel like I've seen a decline in the kind of like the variety of entertainment offered on Norwegian since our first cruise on the Norwegian Epic, which is probably like, I don't know, 11 years ago now. On the Epic, they had Blue Man Group, they had stars in concert, they had dueling pianos, they had an improv comedy team. Every night there was some really great highlight in entertainment, and here on the Bliss, I feel like it's been scaled down. They have, I think, 2 comedians that do stand-up comedy. There is no more dueling pianos. They've long since canceled their contract with Blue Man Group and Stars in Concert. And so on our week-long cruise, or actually I think it's 8 days, there's just 2 main shows in the theater and everything else is guest artists or comedian. And I kind of feel like on Royal, especially if I compare it to the Utopia of the Seas, the variety of highlights is a little bit more. Now, if I compare this to one of the older Royal Caribbean ships like the Independence of the Seas, my sister and I cruised with the Independence of the Seas about a year and a half ago, and I was pretty disappointed with the level of show quality and the variety of shows offered on that cruise. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of talking around in circles here. I guess to wrap it up, both cruise lines have fantastic high quality shows, but the shows on Royal Caribbean are a little bit more spectacular. I guess that's a good way to explain it. Now let's talk about the layout of the ship. Many of the bigger Royal Caribbean ships have this internal passageway called the Royal Promenade. It's a big open space in the middle of the ship that includes a lot of the bars and restaurants and shops that you're gonna want to be visiting frequently on your cruise. And the way that the additional spaces, restaurants and bars, buffet and everything are set up in and around the ship on Royal is very similar, which makes it really easy to get your bearings on the ship, even if you are cruising on a ship from Royal that you haven't been on yet. And that is something that's totally different here on this style of NCL ship. And I think every NCL ship I've been on, navigating the ship and figuring out where things are is a lot trickier on NCL than it is on Royal. Somebody just peeking around the balcony. Am I talking too loud? We can talk about some advantages and disadvantages in this sense. One thing that could be considered a disadvantage when you look at the way Royal designs its ships is because they all seem very similar, in a way, it can kind of take the excitement out of it because it feels so familiar. It doesn't feel like anything new. And here on NCL, because there are so many different venues and they're so spread out on different decks of the ship, it kind of gives you that fun feeling that there might be something that you haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? Like you could be walking around the ship and be like,
look at this, we haven't been in there yet, have we? Oh, I mean, look, it's the Beatles, let's go in there.
Whereas, like I said, on Royal, you know, that's where the Promenade Cafe is, that's where the Irish pub is, that's where the Schooner Bar is. But there is one thing here on these newer NCL ships that is so much better than what they do on Royal and just about any other cruise line I've been on, and that is this outdoor waterfront area. When you're cruising on a cruise ship on the ocean, sometimes it's nice to be close to the ocean and be outside. And on so many cruise ships, all the seating for the restaurants and bars is like 90% inside, unless you go to the buffet, make yourself a plate, and carry it out to the pool deck. Well, here on the Bliss, and also on the Getaway, the Breakaway, the Viva, all these newer ships from NCL, they have tons of outdoor seating on both sides of the ships for many of the most popular venues, including the restaurants. And I don't know why this seems so groundbreaking, but yeah, if you just compare it to so many other ships, that's a really big plus point for NCL. Okay, this video is getting really long. If you've watched to this point, please include the word margarita in your comment and it'll be our little secret so that I know you watched this far. We have had a lot of tasty margaritas in Mexico on this cruise. Okay, a couple other things that I wrote down here that I just kind of want to go through really quickly without going into a lot of detail. The wines that are included with the drink package that we have compared to the wines that are included with the standard drink package on Royal, or the free drinks that I get for having such a high status in their frequent cruiser program. I prefer the wines on Royal over the wines on NCL, but that is totally my opinion, so take it for what it is. The gym, the fitness studio area, much bigger on Royal Caribbean's newer ships than here on the Bliss, that's for sure. As far as the casino goes, we've been a little bit lucky, we've also been not lucky, and one thing that I like here on the Bliss is now the casino is completely divided from smoking to non-smoking, and the smoking area is enclosed. So it's not just a big casino and they say in that corner you can smoke and over here you can't. The smoking area of the casino is a separate room altogether. I like that. On this cruise, we've stopped in Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, and Cabo San Lucas. I'll be talking about more of what we did there and what I liked and didn't like in other videos. And one thing I really like about NCL is almost always when you return to the ship after a day in port, there's a little party where they are handing out cold drinks and cold towels that you can sort of freshen up with. It's very nice. I'm not going to say I don't think they do that on Royal, but I know that it's not standard. If they do it, then it's like a special one-off thing. All right, and now there is one thing that I can't believe NCL is not doing better, especially when you compare it to Royal, and that is their Onboard app. Sweet like a cactus, fruit on a summer's day. I have to start by talking about how good the Royal app is, and I'm not going to be able to show you much of it because I'm not on Royal Caribbean right now, but their app, it works so well. When you're on board, you sign in to the onboard Wi-Fi. Even if you don't have a package, the app works. You can use it to write messages to other people on the ship, which is included in the cost. You can use it to find out where restaurants are. You can use it to read the current menus for the restaurants. You can make reservations, and you can easily figure out what's going on the ship when. And on Royal, if you get an internet package, then you basically pay for it and then you have internet. Well, on NCL, you're paying for minutes. How long has it been since we've bought internet in minutes? That seems really old school to me. And one of the really stupid things is with NCL is if you don't understand that your internet package is minutes, then you get on board, you set it up, you go online, and then you leave it running, and like 2.5 hours later, you've used up all your internet for the whole cruise, even though you haven't done anything with your phone. This is like primitive, if you ask me, when we're talking about internet technology on ships. I could understand if they want to say, okay, we have a package for 3 gigabyte, 5 gigabyte, 10 gigabyte, or whatever, but minutes? Also, you're not going to believe how bad this is. Let me just show you what the daily planner looks like in the app. I hope you can see this. So this is what the app looks like when you sign into it. And it says here, what's happening today, Freestyle Daily Newsletter. I click on that. These are the buttons, but when you click on the buttons, what it does is it shows you like a PDF of the daily planner. And it's this big. It's like a huge PDF of the daily activities that's just been put into the app, and you have to zoom in with your fingers to be able to read it at all. But that's what it looks like just natively in the app. This is so bad. It's better on every other cruise line. So yeah, in that sense, huge minus points for NCL. It's a lifesaver that they're still delivering the paper versions of the daily planner to the cabins, because this is not cute. All right, I think it's time that I wrap this up a little bit. We've been talking a lot about these comparisons, and I wish it was easier for me now to say, okay, I think NCL is right for you if you are this or if you like this, and I think Royal is right for you if you are or like this, but it's not that simple. I was talking to Marcus this morning. I was like, I don't know what to say in this video. I would like to make a recommendation to people, but how to get there. Marcus was saying one of the things that he's really enjoyed about this ship is the variety of spaces to go and just hang out. Not only the bars and restaurants down in the middle of the ship, but also in other areas of the ship, including on deck 15, there is a gigantic space called the Observation Lounge. We've spent a lot of time here getting some work done, reading books. They also have a light breakfast and lunch and then happy hour snacks in there, which is very nice. And there's tons of space in here to just hang out and relax and be out of the sun and not necessarily in a place where there's some kind of party happening. So I guess if you like to just chill out, be away from the action, and especially if you want to get some work done, then this class of ship from NCL is really good for that, and especially compared to like the Utopia of the Seas or the Icon of the Seas, where it's like party every day, all day, everywhere. All right, as always, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about these things. If you are loyal to Royal or if you love NCL, let's talk about it in the comments below. I look forward to showing you more around the ship, more around our club balcony suite, and talking about the reasons why I think you should, and definitely should not, book one of these style of cabins on NCL, and much, much more. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial Travel Guides. I hope to see you back here soon. Bye-bye.